Due to a shortage of teachers. To give us an update, we're now joined on the line from Port Elizabeth, SABC News reporter Iviwe Poti. A very good morning to you once again. Iviwe, you spoke to us about what the situation was like a little bit earlier. I want to find out from you this morning whether or not it's business as usual for commuters who are travelling to work. We know schools have been closed, so perhaps less students going to school than usual?
Morning, Ayanda. This morning, the roads are open. It's business as usual. Commuters are able to go to work, but unfortunately, the schools are still closed. We spoke to the forum who said they were just preparing with principals, for the meeting that's at 2 o'clock with the district department as well as the MEC of education within the Eastern Cape. In terms of the report that was given out last week that stated that, it's also on part of the schools that they need to submit the documentation that they needed in order to give them teachers. I think about only 55 schools out of almost 120 schools actually submitted the documentation that they needed in order to give them teachers. So it is that we're going to be speaking about today, as well as from speaking to the spokesperson of education yesterday, who said there were the top three things that they needed to do, mainly was to sort out the teacher shortage problem, as well as those teachers that were given a raise where they became deputy principals or HODs. Their positions are now vacant, so they need to fill those vacancies as well.
What is the forum saying about what the status quo was like prior to yesterday's events? These over 100 teacher posts that are vacant, what was the situation? Would kids go to school and simply have no teacher? Would they be told to join other classes? What was the situation like prior to the apex, as it were, yesterday?
Yes, prior to what happened out yesterday, the parents are mainly concerned about the overcrowding in classes, as well as, a classroom that doesn't have a warm body, which is a teacher. So, certain classes wouldn't have a teacher, so there would be no teaching in that class. Or they said between 60 to 100 pupils in one class, where then you'll find that not everyone gets enough attention. Not everyone is able to keep up with the work. And then at the end of the year, the results are so bad that sometimes, parents are just not happy with the fact that children are pushed through to the next grade, even though they know that, the problem will still be there. One of the parents we spoke to last week, he actually said, when his son was in grade 7, he was fighting over teacher shortages. His son is now in matric, and he's still fighting over teacher shortages and the overcrowding in classes and the quality of education that his child has been exposed to. He's worried that at the end of this year, when matric results come out, he won't even be able to qualify at university because he wouldn't have been able or been granted the opportunity that other children in South Africa are granted of quality education.
South Africa has seen a phenomenon where many protesters say that unless they turn violent or the situation degenerates, that they simply won't get the attention that's required. Today, we know the MEC for Education, as well as the education officials in the districts, are going to be meeting with the forum. Perhaps that is the intervention that they required. But do we know whether or not the forum had tried to speak to the powers that be prior to the violence we saw yesterday?
Yes, when we spoke to Richard Dry, he said they definitely did try and speak to, they started with the district department, who then said, they get instructions from head office in Bishop. They said that they did go there. They even said they wrote a letter to the presidency. But unfortunately, they didn't get the responses and the attention that they needed as urgently as they did. So that is why they then resulted to what they did, which was the protest that took place yesterday.
And they had said a little bit earlier, you mentioned that the intention was not to be violent and cause disruption. Do we know whether or not there were other elements that perhaps could have stoked the fires and started pelting stones towards police officers?
No, speaking to the police spokesperson, Sandra van Rensburg, she just said, in the area itself, there is a problem of gangsterism. So it could have been just community members taking advantage of the situation, trying to do some criminal activities, behind what was actually really going on.
And then what happens today? We know that there will be a meeting. What do we know about that gathering thus far?
We know that the MEC will come to Port Elizabeth to come and engage the forum as well as parents. And he will also meet with the district department. I'm not sure if it will be an open meeting to the media, as the meeting is said to take place at 2 o'clock. But it's to actually iron out the matters of that the STBs are saying that the report that was given over by the Department of Education was flawed. So I think the NEC himself wants to come down and see exactly what's going on and how this problem can be curbed very quickly in order for children to actually go back to school. The Department of Education has said several times that its main concern is that these children will then fall back because since the beginning of third term, they haven't been at school.
And at the moment, any promises as to whether or not we will see peace on the streets? What is the forum saying? Are they planning to embark on any further protest action?
No further protest action. They do want peace and they just want their children to go back to school, but they do want their demands met.
All right, we'll have to leave it there, at least for now. Calm on the streets of northern areas of Port Elizabeth in the Eastern Cape. And that's where we find our journalists on the line live from PE, Iviwe Poti. Thank you so much for that update. All right, let's take a look.